Okay, I'm starting.
Yep.
Going live. And
Alright, we're gonna
we're
come in a
live.
little strange.
Guitar.
Oh,
Hello,
yeah,
everyone.
guitar. And welcome to on-stream editing. How you doing?
Yeah, how are you
Video
doing?
capture is
Welcome.
being sus.
Yeah, exactly. But we have an interesting topic today. So we postponed the game show by one episode. The normal structure would be that we would do the game show this week and the Rento next week. But we decided to cut the Rento and to do the game show next week because we have a very interesting topic today and a very interesting guest. So, hello, Josephine. How
Hey,
are you
what?
doing?
Good.
Yeah, thanks for
Cool.
joining us. There I am. There's my video
Yeah.
capture device. I'm gonna have to edit this on stream. Oh, well, that's the background. Sorry about that, everyone.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us today. So Josephine is a medical worker, and so she got the COVID vaccine. Was it yesterday or the day before? I
Wednesday.
think it was yesterday. Wednesday. Okay,
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
cool. So now the COVID vaccine comes in two doses. So she got the first dose on Wednesday, and so she's here just to talk about it. So thank you for coming on the show to be interviewed and to tell us about it. Uh, so yeah,
Yeah, this is super interesting and, super
yeah,
topical because,
yep,
with the production of the vaccine, um, some people are a little more wary about taking it just because of how quickly it was, and like relatively quickly, it was made.
hmm
But we're gonna, discuss all of that and the work behind it, and a little bit about the history of vaccines themselves.
yep. All right. So yeah, first we will quickly just go through the plugs. So visit the Gravity Max website at gravitymaxmedia.com and follow us on all forms of social media that you have. Also, follow Sebastian on social media and check out his YouTube channel, 128 Seconds, where he describes various topics in 128 seconds, quick educational content as a complement to our longer format live streams. And then finally, A Bottled Up Flame is still available on Amazon, and it's almost Christmas, right? So if you need a last minute holiday gift, you might want to get them this. And so I got I have my author copy here with me. And so with the first book, I think they look very nice together. Um, so I'm very happy to have both of them. So yeah, uh, so it's a sci-fi book, and if you think it's interesting, there's a preview on my website. I think there's book descriptions, um, and on Amazon itself, so you can check that out. And I have three reviews for the first book. Um, I don't think anyone's reviewed on Amazon like the second book yet, but that's okay. I think you'll like it. So yes, at long last. Um, so it's taken a while. I mean, as soon as COVID started, essentially, people were saying, "Oh, we need to make a vaccine, right?"
Mhm.
And it's incredible. It's been technically more than a year, I think, since the virus first appeared in China. I think that was in like
Yeah.
November 2019.
Mhm.
But at that point, it was still incredibly localized in like Wuhan. But now, like, I think it took till like end of February, early March before it started to really get out of hand in the US. And so to think that we have this new vaccine like 10 months, I guess, since the start of what we have thought of as the pandemic, I guess, the sort of lockdowns and stuff, is pretty incredible. And yeah, so people are very excited for this new vaccine. Um, yeah.
Yeah. So we're just gonna quickly do a very brief history of vaccines, and we're going to try and answer the question of how we got to where we are right now with
Yep.
the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, which is the COVID vaccine that people are receiving.
Yep.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
just
So
to start it off, we have, and again, I'm going to have to move us out of the way. but we
Oh
have
yes,
Jenner's
Edward. Yeah,
smallpox
Edward
vaccine.
Jenner.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Edward Jenner was the scientist, and so smallpox has a few related diseases that are similar to smallpox, but aren't as bad as smallpox. One of them is cowpox, and it infects cows. And so, in his studies, he was realizing these people that would milk the cows would get cowpox, and they'd have like a fever for a few days, but generally they'd be fine. And so he's like, oh, that's interesting, because he noticed that these people that had cowpox wouldn't get smallpox later. And so he thought, what if I intentionally infect people with cowpox, which is much less severe, so that they don't get smallpox? And so I think he it's of course this is like late 1700s, like 1790s, I think. He just like took a scalpel essentially and like cut into someone's skin a little bit to like give them the cowpox. And so then they'd be sick for a few days, but then they wouldn't get smallpox, which is pretty deadly. And so that was the first vaccine in like a modern sense. It was intentionally inoculating with someone with a weaker form of a virus. Now they even just do a dead version of a virus that won't give you any negative effects at all, essentially. I mean, when you get a flu vaccine, you don't feel sick at all for like maybe your arm feels a little sore. I think once I got a vaccine and my arm felt a little sore, but that's really it. And so yeah, so it's just that's where vaccines began. So then on the next slide, we have vaccines in the 1900s. And I mean, there's a ton going through here. We have, say, MMR vaccine, which is what, infants usually get. Uh, the three components, the measles vaccine, the mumps vaccine, and the rubella vaccine, were all made in the 60s and then into the 70s. So those have been around for a while. Smallpox was eradicated in 1980. Now it only exists in a few like government labs. And yeah, so Lyme disease is surprisingly recent. Like I feel like it's
Yeah.
such an old thing. I don't know why. Lyme disease is just Connecticut. Like, I
Hmm.
mean, it's from the town Old Lyme, right?
Yep.
Old Lyme, Connecticut. So we know a lot about Lyme disease just
Exactly.
from living in Connecticut. People are always, I, like every year, I feel like someone would get Lyme disease, and so yeah, I just find it interesting. 1998 is how long it took. But yeah, so that's brief history. Unless you have anything else to add. Um, Pretty
Well,
simple. I guess
yeah.
I should quickly add the scientific principle behind vaccines are that your immune system, once, whenever you get infected by a virus, your immune system sends out, while it's fighting the virus, it'll send out a cell called a memory cell to remember the virus, right? So that the next time you would potentially be infected by the virus, the memory cell will be like, I remember,
Hmm.
and quickly quash the virus, so that you don't get sick again. So you'll get sick the first time, but then you won't get sick the next time. So that's sort of how like chickenpox works. That's why sometimes people would intentionally infect their kids with chickenpox before the chickenpox vaccine, because it's less severe when you're younger. So, and you can't get it again. Except there's like something called shingles, which develops like later in life, but that's sort of irrelevant for this topic. And so what else? So yeah, uh, now it's interesting because you might be thinking, I've gotten the flu more than once, so how does that work? Well, the flu is a virus that evolves particularly quickly compared to other viruses. And as a result, it means that each year you need a new flu vaccine to be effective. Otherwise, because it's essentially a new virus. And so the memory cell, if you get infected by the next year's influenza, the memory cell just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the scientific principle. So that's with the COVID vaccine. It's to essentially pre-warn your immune system, tell your immune system how to handle the coronavirus, make your immune system familiar with the coronavirus before you actually get infected with it, so that it is not as severe. So that's the vaccine. That's how vaccines work.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, now we can start interviewing our guests. So yeah.
Yeah. So, Josie, you were kind enough to share some clips with us, and I got 5 of them just up here. So, I'm just gonna play the first one, and then we're gonna, just talk about it, and I will describe what we were seeing here. But I just threw it on the thing so I could just get to it a little faster. All right.
Okay, I'm on my way to get my vaccine for Corona, COVID, and here we go. I'm gonna start.
Yeah, so that was just you saying you're on your way to go and get the vaccine. Were you was there any bit of you that was like nervous to get it, or was there any hesitation there, or were you just thankful to get it?
No, no. I think everybody had the same hesitation I had.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it came out really fast. But this, it's been in the works research. This is for 10 years already,
Mm-hmm.
with this type of vaccine, the mRNA. And Pfizer has been working on this for like 10 years already. So, I think it's one of the better ones for me. So I wanted to get it. I researched it. But we also had to order it. So, we went online, we ordered it, and then we got the date that we had to come and get it, because it has to be refrigerated.
Mm.
So they could only send out a certain amount. A certain amount could be refrigerated. We had a small refrigerator in the room. Yeah. So, but I think everybody had the same. I talked to a lot of doctors.
Mm.
I think they all, back of their heads, they all were a little leery about it, because it did come out kind of soon.
Yeah, I feel like that's the general consensus from what I've gotten. It's that people are definitely a little hesitant, but I feel like more people than not would want to take it. Like more people are willing to take it than are not willing to take it. But definitely there is hesitation amongst both parties. I don't think anyone is really too like over enthusiastic about this. There's probably a couple of people, but there's always those couple of people. But yeah, so I'm just gonna go over to the. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's sort of about like risk assessment essentially. Because the question is, if you are someone who has pre-existing conditions or are like on the older side, then COVID is much more riskier to you and your health. So you might be more willing to take the vaccine. Whereas if you're healthier, then you have to sort of weigh your options a little bit more.
Yeah,
but
that goes perfectly into the second clip, which is.
How do you feel about getting it? You think everybody should get it?
I think everyone should get it.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, so that's just a very short clip of you asking one of the doctors if he thinks that everyone should get the vaccine, and he says absolutely everyone should get it. So, obviously doctors are behind it. And honestly, this just begs the question: what is it like to be a nurse during a global pandemic? It's got to be an extreme amount of stress.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially now, after Thanksgiving, we just got hit. We're a COVID hospital where I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's horrendous. I took care of patient 0.
Mm-hmm.
We were one of the hospitals who got hit, while the other hospitals were preparing for this siege. So it's I don't know how to explain this. You see people die every day. We had seven patients die all at one time, one after the other.
Damn.
So it's the fear is in everybody. For me, I wear my mask, but other people don't. So they have poor choices, especially for the holidays. And I think this is a turning point, the vaccine. So, yeah, it is horrible. We're understaffed. No nurses anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The doctors, a lot of them don't go in the rooms. It's really the nurses who go in, even in the emergency rooms. The frontliners are actually the nurses, respiratory therapists, because you're trying to save your doctors. We had doctors that went out all at one time, with COVID.
Yeah.
And we had to get. We're part of Columbia, so they loaned us their doctors for a little while. But it's really, it's horrifying. I don't even know how to describe some of the things. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we have so much respect for healthcare workers right now just because of the absolutely tremendous amount of work that um
Yeah.
that's required, because I've heard from people that have gone to the hospital not for COVID but for other things. So they
Mhm.
still saw doctors and nurses running around the hospital 24/7 um because like there weren't really enough of them.
Hmm.
But yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's got to be incredibly tough.
Yeah, it is interesting how you said it's a turning point because once more people get the vaccine, it makes it more difficult for the virus to actually spread.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean that just sort of makes sense. But like earlier in the year, people were talking about like herd immunity, which was basically like just let everyone get sick and then no one can get sick, which is like a little doesn't not very feasible,
Hmm.
not the best idea. But a vaccine is essentially a way to acquire herd immunity without everyone getting sick. So
Yeah,
it's the best of both worlds. So it will likely like relieve some of the pressure on our healthcare systems and our healthcare workers.
yeah,
So
absolutely. Going over to the third clip. Yeah, so the part from this I just wanted to show is
Date for the next shot.
right there. So we mentioned this at the start of the video about how it is not just one shot. There's two stages to it. So
mhm.
you got the first shot on Wednesday, and your date for the second shot is what?
January 7th.
January 7th. Um, is it a is there a medical reason why those dates are decently far apart, or is it just scheduling?
No, it's there is a medical. It's how you build up your immunity. After
Mm.
1 week first shot, I should have 50% immunity.
Ah.
Like 3 weeks later, it should be about 80%, but it won't last. So about the third week is when it starts to drop off. You reach the peak, I think, and then when you get your second shot, it should be 90 to 100% whatever immunity, and then it should last. But they don't know how long it's going to last for, though. They still don't know.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
that's the issue.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true because it depends on whether the coronavirus turns out to be a virus like the flu, where it evolves so quickly that you need a new vaccine every year, or if it turns out to be a vaccine, or sorry, a virus more like, well, I guess measles, mumps, rubella, where you only need one at the start of your life, and the evolution is so slow that you'll never get those viruses, even though you could be like 80, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're still protected by that vaccine you got when you were like 2 years old. So it depends on the nature of coronavirus itself.
Yeah. We have Daikaiju Productions in chat as well
Oh
as
yeah,
others. If you want to read off chat.
yes, yes. All right. So Barry Rudin says, "Hi guys, what a great topic! So excited to hear all your vaccine research and to hear all about Nurse Josephine's experience getting vaccinated on Wednesday." And then Daikaiju Productions says, "Herd immunity is just syndrome."
Oh, from The
Just syndrome.
Incredibles.
Oh, Incredibles. Yes. If everyone's sick,
Nobody
nobody
is.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Britain tried it for a while. It didn't go well, so then they locked down. Because it's like, it's basically that it sort of relies on the principle of viruses that once you get it once, you're probably not going to get it again. Although there has been some evidence that people have been getting COVID twice. I'm not sure, Josie, if you know about that.
They said I
Like,
think
yeah.
3 months, 90 days. Plus now I
Hmm.
think strain in the UK. It's not
Hmm.
as strong, but it spreads faster too. I don't know what's going on there.
Hmm.
They said that
Yeah.
yeah, but they said about 90 days they've seen, cases. I don't know why. that they might.
So someone's
Yeah.
so someone's gotten COVID and then gotten it again 90 days later.
That's what they were saying. I don't know,
Hmm.
what the research is and who it was, but that's what they
Mm.
think. That
Yeah.
you might lose your immunity. So.
Hmm. Yeah, and the difficult question there is someone getting it twice, or is it just two stages of a single infection? Because some viruses can stay in your system for a very long time, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're having this post-COVID stuff also going on. Hospitals are opening up units. Mount Sinai opened up a unit, and Westchester County this is all New York. I don't know if in Florida or wherever else you guys are for the
Mhm.
post stuff, because it does attack heart muscle.
Mhm.
Later, people coming out, with cardiomyopathies, respiratory issues. So they still don't know a lot about this disease.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, going over to the fourth clip, let me play it real quick, pretty short.
Okay, just got the shot. There you go. Right in the arm. Didn't hurt.
So this is right after you got the actual shot. It's just you saying that it didn't hurt, and you just have a Band-Aid on your arm. So the actual procedure of them giving you the shot, it was just similar to getting like a flu shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just, we were talking about earlier, like me and my family, we were just talking about how certain ones like happen to sting, or some will like leave your arm, sore or other stuff like that. So did you get any of that?
Yeah, my arm the next day was horrifying. It went away. It was like, oh, the pain was, I couldn't believe it, but but it went away after a while. Just the proteins in your arm, reacting to the shot. I don't know, but that's the only symptom I got.
Yeah.
It was more than the flu, like the next day, and I was a little tired the next day.
Yeah, but yeah, I haven't read reports from anyone else who's got it, but that's honestly what I was expecting. But there was the little scare about people having an anaphylactic response to the vaccine. Do you have any knowledge or anything to?
Yeah, they probably there's probably some chemical in there or something in there that they're allergic, a protein that they're allergic to.
Mm-hmm.
They actually did well. They didn't die from it. They just gave them an Benadryl, and
Yeah.
And then they were fine. But Pfizer, because it has to be refrigerated, doesn't have the preservatives, like even the flu shot, and that's usually what people are allergic to. A lot of the preservatives. But if you do have allergies, you need to go to your doctor and you need to look over what's in the drug, and he should decide if you should take it and what precautions they need to take if you're going to get it and have a reaction. Like someone should be that has an EpiPen, a crash cart just in case something happens, the Benadryl, the steroids. So if something does happen, and you really need to go to your doctor if you have a lot of allergies before you get it, just to make sure, that's not going to.
Yeah. Do you think that Pfizer or some other company would be capable of making like a version of the vaccine for people with allergies, like removing that chemical, or is it crucial to the vaccine itself? Whatever.
I don't know what they're allergic to. It could be a protein that you probably need all the proteins. It's usually proteins that you're allergic to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that a lot of the preservatives, like the flu shot too, a lot of them, they have the preservatives in them. So usually what the issue is with, allergies. But I think there was six people who got it, who had but they were okay after they got the EpiPen and everything else. So, they didn't die.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's always good. And then I think the last one is pretty similar to what we were just talking about. If the text box could work with me. Yeah, this is you just walking out of the hospital.
My arm is killing me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're saying all done and your arm's killing you. So yeah, I don't think a lot of people have joked that they're like waiting to see if people we'll turn into zombies and stuff or stuff like that. But honestly, I think because COVID is, similar in nature to the flu, or at least to some degree, honestly, yeah, the symptoms from getting the actual shot itself should really not have too much variance from the flu shot. The anaphylactic response, I would say, is probably the biggest issue that we're facing right now with it.
Yeah.
No, I haven't any. I thought I was going to get at least like a mild fever.
Mm-hmm.
Really feel, crappy, which I don't. I actually felt really crappy. The flu shots we got a couple years ago when we had that big epidemic of the flu.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like 3
Oh,
ago.
yeah.
Yeah. I felt really bad after that flu shot, but I didn't even feel nothing. Just the arm. Arm is really sore. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really good to hear. That's a relief.
Yeah, definitely.
Even if like the symptoms of it were a little more grievous, like you would get a fever, you would get all that, there would still be people willing to take that over, the risk of being exposed to just COVID.
Yeah, well, it's sort of like Edward Jenner with the cowpox versus smallpox.
Yeah.
You still don't want to get cowpox. It's sort of like being sick for a few days, but much better than getting smallpox.
Yeah.
So
we have some more chat while I
we have some more chat. So Barry Rudin says, I give Josie so much credit and respect every day for what she does, but now more than ever. So brave, and she is a hero. So
that's nice.
There's some compliment for you. And Linnea Moskowitz says, my ma is a YouTube star now, and then emoji with cool sunglasses. And Barry Rudin says, yes, be so proud of your mom, Linnea. She is awesome. And continues to say, so good to see you on video, Josie. You look great, and especially for someone who must be exhausted from working during these times. Yeah, I know hospital shifts, just from like medical dramas, I know that they can be pretty extensive, but are they even worse like right now?
Yeah. We get a lot of sick calls because everybody's just because it's emotional too. We have a couple nurses have meltdowns. Even doctors have meltdowns. It's hard to somebody. When you're coding somebody and you just everything you do is not helping them. So it's a very stressful time. We have over a load of patients. So I mean, when I first started working, I would work 16 hours, not even get a break.
Wow.
I didn't eat anything, even have a drink of water. And at the end of the shift, I would have to call. Before we had this, I would take photos of the patients, family members. They would call. I would send them pictures, and I would tell them the status at the end of the day, at the end of the shift, and we'd all cry. So it was, it's very stressful, and people should wear masks. Also, that's another thing with the virus. The vaccine. You still have to wear your mask.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. I heard that the vaccine can can keep you from getting COVID, but you can still spread it. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can. You still shed the virus. I could be exposed, and I could shed it to someone else. So you really should wear masks. Masks are really important.
That's very important because I could easily see people thinking, "Oh, I have the vaccine. Now I'm good to go. I got the green light."
Yeah.
But
sort of like invincible in a way.
Exactly.
Like people think of vaccines. But yeah, so that's interesting though, because is this something that is common with other vaccines as well? Like, is this a thing with the flu vaccine? Can you still spread the flu if you have it, or is this like specifically for COVID?
I think you probably can spread the flu if you still. I'm not even sure. I get the same way. If you're really a high viral load, if you're near somebody, I'm just wondering about that.
Yeah.
That up, but that's an interesting question.
Yeah, I just find it fascinating. Because it's just interesting. Because I'm not sure if it's like a normal vaccine thing that I just hadn't heard of before. Because like so much more attention is put on the
Yeah, you're probably right.
COVID vaccine.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. And
Yeah,
it depends-
that'd be my guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, with those videos that we just showed off and talked about for a little bit, yeah, I think it was super cool to get like a really a literal inside look into
Yeah.
the process. How long would you say that process took to get the vaccine?
the vaccine out. What do you mean?
I mean, for you to like sign up and to physically receive the shot.
Well, we signed up on let me see when I went to work last because we signed up online,
Mhm.
and I got it on Wednesday, right? So it was probably the 15th, and they called me on the 17th.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they already had other people scheduled. They were giving it out on, I think they started Wednesday. Wednesday, yeah. So Wednesday they started, and there was 2,400 of us that they vaccinated.
Wow.
Now, yeah, but we have a couple hospitals, so and
Yeah.
that's said that they wanted to take it. So
Mhm.
have an option. So they reserved the 2,000. I think it was 2,400 is what I read on online in my hospital in Columbia, and they. I have friends in Mount Sinai who also got it. So it actually went fast. There was a lot of people in the health department came. We had a lot of staff out, and they just went 1, 2, 3. It was really a fast process.
Yeah, that's really good
Yeah,
to
we're-
hear that they can
Yeah.
put them out.
Yeah, you know what? Because they're gonna have pretty soon with Moderna, they're gonna have CVS put it out. Everybody can do it. So it's just gonna go by fast.
Yeah, I've even heard that
Yeah.
the actual COVID testing is going to get a lot better because people are. I don't know if the FDA is in the process of clearing it or it has been cleared. I'm not sure if it has been cleared, but they are trying to introduce a COVID test that you can just do at home.
Yep.
Yeah.
They need to put that out.
Yeah.
An emergency
Yeah.
15-minute test. We do 15-minute tests
Mm-hmm.
because we can't accept a patient unless they're COVID negative
Hmm.
or if they're COVID positive, we have to make sure they go in an isolation room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that that wraps up
Yeah.
the
Well,
video
I'm just
section.
wondering,
Yeah, go ahead.
were the doctors in the videos, were they like your colleagues, or were they from like a different, like were they from the health department or?
One of the doctors there, he's on our unit. He's a critical care doctor.
Hmm.
He's from Philly. He just came over. He's very good.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah, it's interesting. My aunt and uncle are both in the medical profession as well, and I think they got their vaccines like last week. They have like a spine surgery practice.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So now we can just move into the actual Q&A section. That's kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
been ongoing. But
Yeah, it's already
yeah,
been
so
Q&A.
we'd like to open it up to anyone watching at home.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We definitely
Yeah, anyone
still
in the
have-
comments, if you have any questions,
Yeah.
make sure to leave those questions in the chat, in the live chat. So yeah, good idea you mentioned that. I
Yeah.
forgot.
Yeah, it's all good.
So-
yeah, and we still have our own questions, so we'll be lobbing them at
Yeah,
you
definitely.
while the chat filters in. But
Here, I'm gonna check. I think I wrote down a few things. I might have
yeah,
said them
sure.
all already, but I wanna just make sure. So.
Oh, one. Somebody asked me this. Will it give you?
Oh, sorry. What was the you cut out? What was the question?
Well, this is one of the reasons I went to get the vaccine. Actually, someone asked me, "Will it give you AIDS?" Because it works with cells.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is
Yeah.
something going through people. It will not, and it will not
Yeah.
alter. It doesn't alter. It doesn't enter the nucleus. It just changes the protein. Attacks the protein, the spike protein, and breaks that down.
Yeah.
So that's it doesn't your DNA. It doesn't give you AIDS. I don't, you know, so it. Oh,
Yeah, that's really
that's
interesting, actually, that people asked you that because it would seem like at first sort of unrelated. But I think that actually comes from like one news story where like in like Australia or something, uh, like people got false positive HIV tests after getting the like COVID vaccine. Have you heard of that story or
oh,
no? Yeah, I think
no.
it's like I don't know. Well, because it could be that like the virus like messes with other testing. That might be the case. Like, could that be the
Yeah.
case where the vaccine, getting vaccinated, like temporarily alters the effectiveness of other tests you might get? I think that was the key takeaway of the story. It wasn't that people are getting HIV. It was
Mhm.
that it was that
Well,
like the vaccine might be altering other tests, and so
well, you know, I don't know where that came from either because I haven't heard. I
yeah.
have to find the story. But also, it was AIDS. This was an AIDS vaccine actually. We're working on T cells, memory cell. You know, in the
Mhm.
beginning, and I think that's what people got from that. They got a little
Oh
confused
yeah,
about it. So I think
yeah.
that's one. Mhm. But
Yeah, well,
oh,
that's really interesting. It's just very strange disinformation, I guess, or just misinformation to me because it's
yeah,
like because HIV is an entirely different virus, right? So there
yes, it
really
is.
wouldn't, yeah.
But well, but it works on memory cells, T
Hmm.
cells. So yeah. So this research
Yeah.
actually, that's how it started out as.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, because this is also the COVID vaccine is like a new type of vaccine, right? So it's like a
Yeah,
different sort of,
RNA.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Let me look through my questions. Yeah, Sebastian, if you have any questions.
Yeah, I was just wondering. You said that, and we obviously know that it's been super tough on healthcare workers, and you mentioned that some doctors, some nurses were having breakdowns. Do you personally know anyone that quit because of what's happening?
I'm trying to think. I know a lot of nurses took early retirement, the
Mm.
ones that I'm with, but I have, yes, I do. Actually, I did.
Mm.
My ex coworker, Mount Sinai, she quit because she actually lost her brother, who's a pharmacist, and then her father got it, and she just couldn't go back to work anymore. So she
Hmm.
quit.
Wow. Yeah, no,
Uh,
that's super tough. Um,
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but and a lot of people actually took early retirement that I know.
mhm.
So we lost them. Some of the nurses had two jobs. I don't know any doctors that quit. Um, you know,
Mm.
so
Yeah, that's definitely very difficult because the problem with a pandemic like this is that it overwhelms health systems, and so what happens is the number of patients is like greater than what the health system can absorb,
Mhm.
but then also the pandemic itself like negatively impacts the capacity of the health system. So it's like both at once. It's increasing what like it needs to handle, but then also because of like people like the stresses on the system, it actually reduces the amount the system could handle. So
Yeah, and that that's got to be just such a tough dilemma
mhm,
because people are in this field because they want to help people, or like ideally should be because they want to help people, but when
mhm,
it just becomes very personal
yeah,
yeah,
and the danger just increases to yourself, then you're naturally just gonna want to get out of that scenario. it's
yeah,
it's it's all very, very tough, like big questions of morality and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah. So
yeah.
I have another question. So I was wondering sort of about the like timeline of distribution. I wrote down like how many people will get it in the next month, but um, you know,
I think
that does like not that specifically, but you know.
uh, they were aim. What were they aiming on the news? 2 million for the next.
About 2 million.
2 million.
Okay. 2 million, in, like, I guess by the new year, or well, in January, I guess. So 2 million. Yeah, that's definitely a lot of people. I think that'll be big because that's especially like frontline, medical workers as well as eventually the elderly. I forgot what exactly the order is. Actually, yeah. What is the order of priority for people who are gonna get the vaccine?
Frontliner, yeah, frontliners, then
I
elderly.
apologize for my dog.
That's all frontliners. You have police, EMT.
Mm,
You know,
yeah.
you got to think of the police department,
Mhm.
um, and EMT, firefighters, EMT especially.
Mhm.
Mm,
So,
that makes
because
sense.
I know,
Emergency services. That
yeah,
that makes total sense. Yeah.
I don't know if the EMT and the fire department are both together now. So.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, also for the police department, they are actually first responders. Also, people don't
Yeah.
realize, you know.
Yeah. Definitely. Um, yeah. So that's very interesting. Well, because like it makes sense because not only does the pandemic tax our like stress our healthcare systems, it's also like if firemen are getting sick, then who's going to put out a fire, right? Um, it affects like
Yeah.
all aspects of society. So that's very interesting. And so then I guess also, have there been any like difficulties with distribution? I know you said like refrigeration. Um, is that posing a challenge to the vaccine?
Uh, Now with the fire, no, nothing with the going. They, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, we ordered them. We got our doses. We have a refrigerator. I haven't heard any.
Hmm. Well, that's good to hear that it's all sort of running smoothly, I guess.
Now.
Oh yeah, it's around the time you said you had to move to your car.
Yeah, I'm gonna move to my car now.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
No worries.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm
no.
gonna go to.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to the car. So if I lose you, hopefully I won't lose you.
Yeah. Just tell us
Okay.
when you're ready to pick it back up.
Yeah. And yeah, I'd like to remind the audience, I guess, if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the chat
Mhm.
because this is, I don't know if you guys know any medical professionals, but if you have any questions, this would be a, very valuable source of information. So, yeah. So I've sort of asked all my questions, all the questions that I was thinking about.
Yeah, I have a couple more. But
Yeah.
Then we could definitely push on to the next segment.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll just sit tight, I guess, for a minute.
Oh yeah.
Oh, let's see. Okay, we got more chat. Barry Rudin says, an old friend of mine is a fireman in New York, and he has COVID now. His family posted on Facebook that he is struggling with it. Yeah, so that's just an example of how the pandemic can negatively affect the emergency systems. Um,
All right. Are you in your car now?
Yeah, I'm in the car.
All right. Yeah. So I was just wondering. Obviously, working in healthcare right now puts you at probably the greatest risk of actually getting the actual virus. And you mentioned that a couple of doctors were out with COVID. How common is that with doctors or nurses getting COVID from patients?
I think that's really rare because we gown up.
Mm-hmm.
I had the antibody test done, and a lot of us, we're negative. So masks work. We have visors, 2 masks. We have the N95 and then a regular surgical mask.
Wow.
So I think they either were a little lax.
Oh, we just
oh yeah, Linnea Moskowitz says she's gonna cut out like half
on the lounge
for the next 3
because
minutes.
I don't hang out. We try not to hang out in the lounge.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to take a break, you try to do it on your own, or if you're in the lounge, like you're 6 feet apart. We're lucky. We have an old hospital. We could open up the windows,
Hmm.
and that helps. But I think it was more something like that than it was really from a patient, because when we're intubating, we have the whole hazmat suit. We have the negative pressure, and masks do work.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
So
interesting. They could be getting it like outside of work, which is like
yeah,
seems a little ironic, but yeah.
no, I think that's actually what happened,
Hmm.
or else maybe something happened with the patient. They really were a little lax and didn't wear their masks. But
Yeah.
us in the ICU, we wear, my unit. There's 2 masks, everybody, the visor, all the headgear, the whole hazmat, suit. It's like every day we go in a little early, we get, dressed up, and then we go out.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, so that's good. At this point, there's are there still like shortages? Because I remember at the beginning of the pandemic there was a lot of like medical equipment shortages, but has the system sort of adapted to that by now?
Um, yeah, no, I haven't had any. We have a lot of donations too. You shouldn't
Mm,
have a shortage. I
that's good.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of companies. We have a lot of vents.
Mm.
We had it from the beginning. We have all these portable vents. They gotten them back. They're all really prepared. They knew this second wave was coming. So,
Mm, yeah, that's true.
so I'm lucky. I'm Columbia. I'm gonna say we've always really just in the real beginning, with the masks and everything else, that they couldn't get them either. But they've been really good with staff. Not so much other hospitals. So, um, but I've had a good experience with that. So we're a big hospital.
Mm.
So, and they actually take care of their employees.
Oh, that's always good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think I've run through pretty much all of my questions. Yeah, so even as we move on to the next question, if any of you guys watching at home have a question for Josie, just drop it in. We will read it out. Um, but yeah, I feel like that was pretty informative. Now we can move into uh, impact slash why this matters. Not to sound like the outline for a high school essay, but
Yeah.
um, so obviously I would say that this episode that we're doing right now is probably one of the most important episodes we've ever done, just because of
Yeah.
how current it is and how honestly badly we need this vaccine,
Mm,
because it's I feel like it's kind of a rare solution, or a rare situation where there
mhm.
is one kind of clear solution.
Yeah.
And it's kind of good, kind of Occam's razor, but it's still kind of good, because when there's a global crisis, a lot of the time spent is delegation on which route do we take. With a
Mm,
pandemic, it is almost a little um, it's more focused, it's more specialized, because everyone is now working towards a vaccine. There can be other things implemented, and we've seen them implemented, like higher sanitation standards in public places and in private places, like privately owned places, um, like increased hand sanitation, in like mandatory mask wearing, more deep cleaning. Like schools now have like I'm not sure if it's mandatory, but they do deep cleaning and all of that stuff.
yeah. It's funny with the sanitation stuff. It always makes me think, so they weren't doing this before, and it just kind of grosses me out. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, hopefully some of that stuff sticks around, so you won't
yeah,
feel
definitely.
skeeved out by going to like a
Yeah,
restaurant
exactly.
bathroom ever again.
Yep.
But yeah, so that is definitely the most. I would say that is the most visible impact on
Hmm.
a global scale. Is you can just see how we have taken a step back and looked at health in a different way. And I think if you go through history, like around the time when people knew that smoking was bad for you, like when they started I would say that they kind of knew that inhaling smoke was probably bad for you, but they didn't know the scope, and they didn't know the thousands of carcinogens that go into cigarettes, and they weren't aware that some cigarette manufacturers were lining them with lead paint or stuff like that. So, I think that that is kind of an example to what we're doing here, because from what I've heard from a lot of people is with this pandemic, they have started looking at germs entirely differently. They've been noticing things in their routine that they have now only noticed as being unsanitary, or that they have now only noticed as being, unsafe, or it gives them unnecessary risk to illness. And I think that's a trend we're going to see for a while, and it might actually become, I could see this happening, it might become a staple of our generation. When we get older, like our kids might, rag on us for being very more germophobic than they are, but they don't know. They didn't live through the pandemic.
Yeah. Sort of like with the Great Depression. I mean, with the, like, a lot of people who grew up during the Great Depression were very frugal with their money. Were very careful. So I think that something similar might happen here.
Yeah. But yeah, the reason why I was comparing it to cigarettes is just the eye-opening moment. Like, everyone knows that certain germs make you sick. Bacteria, too much of the bad kind of bacteria is bad. But now our eyes have kind of been opened. And I guess if you're looking for a silver lining, that's it. It's that now on a global scale, we are much more health conscious than we were 1 year ago. And there has been such a steep uptick in how health conscious we are. And honestly, I hope that trajectory just keeps going up, because being educated and being like, there obviously is a thing of too much protection, or too much, like, being overprotective over some stuff, because obviously you're still going to get sick, you're still going to be exposed to bacteria everywhere you go, but there's no reason why every place shouldn't have, a hand sanitizing place, or it would be nice if every place did, like, deep cleaning on Sunday, stuff like that. I think it would be super cool to have implemented later on. But like I was saying, that's the silver lining here, is that we have learned from it. We've learned from it on just an exponential degree.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting also, impact in terms of, like, the vaccine and where we go from here. So, like, based on what we've been talking about, I feel like the greatest impact of this vaccine is going to be, just simply reducing the number of COVID cases and deaths that are in this country, and I guess around the world. I'm not sure about international distribution, so I only know more about America. So, but it'll also likely start to relieve our health systems. Now, this is an interesting question, because once you get a vaccine, you should still wear a mask, because you can still spread it to others, right? So would this, at first at least, I don't think this will have much appreciable impact just on our day-to-day lives during the pandemic. Like, I think we'll still have to social distance and wear masks. But I suppose once enough people get the vaccine, then maybe we can start seeing the world open up again a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's going to drop off.
And
then, we're going to be able to open up. But if people wear their masks, go for the vaccine, I could see it opening up in the summer,
Yeah, that'd be
maybe spring.
That'd be great.
You kind of see that. You kind of see that with I believe it's New Zealand, because they have a smaller population. they were able to kind of deal with it better than us, and obviously for other reasons on top of that. But
Yeah.
I think, yeah, go ahead.
They shut down, actually. I
Mhm.
think, a lot of people don't want to shut down, but they shut down.
Mhm.
They wore masks. They shut down. So they got it, the COVID, they got it down to almost a flat line. And so then when they started, they're starting to get the vaccine, it's going to be a lot faster. I think, Australia was the same way.
Mhm.
They shut down for 3 weeks. So I think that's the key here. We have to wear our masks, limited amount of, get-togethers, especially during the holidays. I know it's kind of sad,
Mhm.
but we have next year.
Mhm.
And, everybody go for the vaccine.
Yeah.
We're going to be there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the reason I was comparing it to New Zealand was just there are places in New Zealand. I'm not sure. I don't think it's the entire country, but there are places where you can just walk around without a mask, and it's not seen as being, belligerent or being bigoted. It's just there's less of a requirement for one over there because, like you said, it flatlined. I believe they've had 0 local infections for some time now. I would say probably a couple of weeks. So that's
really great.
Yeah, that's
you
incredible.
said there's a smaller country, but there's still like a few million people.
I think they have a population of 3.5 million. I might be wrong on that, but
yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, and
nice
it's very impressive, and they pulled it earlier, and they were also more equipped to do that just with the smaller population. But there's like America obviously was kind of last for a lot of things in this pandemic. There were a couple other things that we like kind of did better, but we were really last in a lot of things. And I think we just have to look at every factor that went into that, because you got to look at who's in first just as much as you got to look at who's in last, because there's a reason for why both those people are there. But I think that, again, that's the silver lining, is that we learn from it, and we, like, from every global crisis, we always come back learning something from it. And I think that is where we need to keep our minds, is that we keep learning and we keep educating ourselves, and we take what we've learned here, and we take this because it obviously is a tragedy, and we grow from it. And that's pretty much the only thing you can do, and that's how you can kind of mitigate. Like, you can't mitigate it, but that's kind of how you can confront what's happened in the past year.
Daikaiju Productions in the chat says, I have family in New Zealand. It's essentially back to normal for them. Being a small island helps with that.
So that's what I was saying. You can walk around without a mask. You can group up with your family. You can group up with your friends. Have gatherings of however many. And that's the future I want. I don't want to be stuck in my house. But,
exactly.
Yeah. So, massive impact. The pandemic has had a massive impact, and the vaccine will also have a massive impact. Because
I think this is like, I think Josie earlier said, like, it's the turning point, and I feel like we'll look back on like around this time as like time when it started to go from worse to better.
Yeah, and I remember in the very first, in March, I would sit and for at least 10 minutes every day, and then I would go back and check it or later on in each day. I would look at the Johns Hopkins projection for the coronavirus, the graphs that they had up, and I remember seeing it at 9,000, climbing to 13,000, climbing to 25,000. I remember watching it climb, and then in April I couldn't I couldn't sit there and just like look at it because I was always hoping because
Yeah.
I would always like check all the projections.
Yeah, the
I'm
same
like,
thing happened with me.
yeah, I was like,
honestly.
hey, look, five less people got infected on this day than the day prior. It's over, But I was trying to look for anything, but
Yeah.
eventually I had to stop because I just saw that it was just going to go up and up and up. And I looked at the logarithmic scales and I looked at everything, and I'm like, it is, it was really just loss of hope, honestly, what it was for me. But the vaccine is the what we were looking for. It is going to be what brings it back down. And like with New Zealand, they had 0 local infection. So if you can protect entire counties, eventually entire cities, eventually the country,
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic to have areas where we can go back to how it was. But that's the other thing is that I don't believe that it will go back to necessarily right where it was. I think that
Yeah.
our generation is forever going to be more germophobic than we were.
Yeah.
I think that there are good people that are going to wear masks until they die. Honestly, I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah.
Just people because it was part of fashion in some parts of Asia for a while to just wear
That's true.
that style of mask. So I could see America adopting that fashion.
Well, yeah, well, Asia, like Korea, gets hit.
Yes.
China always has something. So and they have a pollution. So they wear masks. It's a norm for them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's actually very true. That's probably why it is part of their fashion because they have more health concerns. Yeah, 100%. So yeah.
It's a norm.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. Kind of going towards obviously not all of America. I probably am not going to be like I obviously wear my mask now and I do everything that I need to do. But in the future, when we are at 0 or however many, like a very low number of local infections, I don't think I'll wear a mask for fashion unless I find a really cool one.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well,
I
I see what you're saying because once people get used to it, after a year of wearing a mask whenever you leave the house, it could get to the point where like not wearing a mask sort of feels like you're exposed or something. But yeah, it is really interesting because there are a ton of these like tiny little impacts that will sort of stay forever. I mean, if you think of, airports before and after 9/11, right? Or like whenever there's a big tragedy, the world doesn't just go back to normal. So I think the like Department of Homeland Security, right? I think that exists because of 9/11, right?
Yes.
So the world before 9/11, you don't go back to normal because there is still a Department of Homeland Security. There's still a TSA and the new like airport security stuff. So I think the same thing is going to happen with COVID. There are going to be new conventions that stay in place permanently. So yeah.
But honestly, that's not so bad. Obviously, we need to keep the regulations in check. We have to make sure that each and every one of them has a purpose and that we're not being overly cautious, but obviously not being under cautious. But yeah, with that, and we've kind of been touching on them, the final thoughts.
Yeah, final thoughts.
Which we are perfectly blocking because it's in the center of the screen. But trust us, it says final thoughts behind there.
It says final thoughts. Yeah. Well, first of all, I would like to thank Josephine for being our guest today. You, I think, like through Linnea, just like contacted us and said you were getting the vaccine, and so we decided to interview you on the show. And like, thank you for offering that. I think this has made a wonderful episode. I think, I hope like people have learned from it. So yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah, you've been an absolutely fantastic guest, and I think, like I said, I was watching the Johns Hopkins thing for a month, and then I was like, well, and I kind of gave up. But I was
Yeah.
I was doing it with my girlfriend, and she was at the time, and she was concerned about it. We were all concerned, but I was trying to calm the situation. I was trying to be all that, and then eventually I just couldn't, because I couldn't sit there and be like, oh, but look, it's gone down 5 from the previous day. No, I had to be like, yeah, it's bad, and it is as bad as I think it's followed projections, that because I remember at the start the CDC came out and they were like, these are our projections. I obviously I'm remembering those from April, but I want to see how those compare to what actually happened. But from my own memory, I think
definitely.
they are pretty accurate. I think they're pretty on par with what happened.
I thought, I'm not sure which projections. I remember hearing some pretty apocalyptic projections, so I'm just glad, with millions dead, and I'm glad that it didn't get to that level.
Absolutely.
Although this is still, but yeah, so.
Yeah. And just, like I was saying, with the, just loss of hope, me sitting there at Johns Hopkins, I think that this, like I was saying earlier, this vaccine it's the hope. It's back. And now people, it's the light at the end of the tunnel. People are like, we can get there. And it's dispersal is going to take longer than anyone would like, and you're going to be at least for me and Max, we're obviously not medical workers, and all of that, and we're not. I think we're in the least risk group.
Yeah,
of
we'd
anyone
probably
on the
be
planet.
at the end.
We are.
Of the line,
we are most likely at the absolute end of the line for
it's
this
young and healthy.
vaccine. Exactly. I think we are in the literal least amount of risk category.
Yeah, probably. So yeah.
But I'm 100% fine with that, to be honest, because I think that the dispersal order definitely makes sense. You get it to the people that need it first, and I think
that need it the most. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know
beautiful.
what? The best thing you could do is wear a mask.
Absolutely. Yeah, just
wash your hands, distance. I'm telling you, that's the best thing you could do right now to help everybody out.
Yeah. And I
So that's it. Just if everybody does their part, we're gonna get over this.
Yeah.
Yep.
The end is in sight, ladies and gentlemen. But I'd like to thank everyone so much for watching. Again, thank you, Josie, for coming on. This has been a fantastic episode, one of the best this season.
Totally.
And looking forward to getting vaxxed up and eventually getting demasked.
Yep. So that's great.
Right,
thank you, Sebastian. Yeah, thank you for being my co-host as always. Thank you everyone for watching, and thank you, Josie, for being on the show. So we will see you all next week. I hope you guys all enjoy. I'm on winter break.